Hello, people of YouTube, and welcome back to more of the Fruit of Grisaia. My name is Shigeo Takeru, and I will be your host for the evening. I brought along Amanda and Nick again.
Hi, y'all!
They're my good friends.
So he's the host, and we're just friends.
They're the co-hosts.
Yeah, and we use a mega builder. This hunk of junk.
Nick's computer is the stage.
That is the sage.
Anyways, we last left off in the Fruit of Grisaia.
We're trying to smoke some crack.
Flowing Somen noodles.
We're trying to smoke some crack.
Yeah, crack smoking, always a good thing.
Always.
Smoking the trees.
Smoking them trees. Smoking that herb. Let's go.
Alright.
Anyways, let's go into this before we get off course. We're kind of in the longest, and I clicked the button. In between
Josh!
episodes.
Yeah, I clicked it. My bad, papers.
Right,
This
so, yep, man, just start us off.
this side seems a little crowded, so I'll be over here.
Or so she says. Maybe you just wanted the upstream position because you're burning with anticipation.
Shout out to Tuna Baker.
Tuna Baker's not alive right now. Please do a message after the beep. There is no Tuna Baker.
Amanda.
What am I supposed to say?
Exclamation point!
I don't say that.
Exclamation point, question mark?
No, because it's not what you say in real life.
I do! Well, let's
Would
start
you like
yelling
to-
exclamation points.
Good?
Come on!
Would you like to find a blade floating in your direction?
No, I'm a peanut butter! What's not okay? Okay! You okay? if I end up eating a box hitter, I think my throat's gonna get a little scratched.
A little?
A little!
You're ready, Monkey Boy?
Monkey Boo.
Once the noodle.
What's the nipple slipped best? Oh god.
Let Amanda continue, because this is like the 10th time she's been interrupted in the first fucking 3 minutes.
I mean, you know what? How about this? Nick, you can voice all my parts as well as yours.
I will!
Go ahead.
No! No, how about no?
Then stop.
Bye!
Once the noodles slipped past those two, we ate, sparing a single strand. Got it?
You bet, Vegeta!
So now,
After I distribute a pair of chopsticks and a bowl of soup, the noodles to everyone, they take up their desired positions around the bamboo gutter. It seems like flowing Somen is a rare experience for everyone, not just me.
Well then, Miss Sachi, throw us the first pitch, please. Certainly!
getting used to it.
In response to cheers yell, Sachi releases a few strands of Somen noodles into the waterway.
When do we get to make love with this Bible?
Ah.
Oh! Oh god, I peed. You guys are gonna hear that in the video.
You heard it here
catch!
first. You heard it here first, folks. Nick just peed his pants.
Just a little! I got excited, so... How am I supposed to make slurping noises? Tasty! What? What?
The fucking...
It was delicious!
I can't handle this shit.
Hey, don't give me that look! Oh god! That suits it perfectly! Don't give me that look, man!
Oh my god! I did this finish! I fixed that so good!
Hey, don't give me that look! But look, next time you can
Wait, Amanda, were you here for that whole part? That
Yes, I am.
You were?
Yes, I I didn't find it as
Dick
funny as
making
you
a slurping
did.
sound.
Yeah, I didn't find it as funny as you did.
Mm-hmm.
Good?
I made it.
Good?
Good.
Yes.
I'll show you.
She's gonna stab us! Yeah, I'm out of here. Might get... Might that's a really bad position.
It's fine. Once they start pouring a lot in at once, I'm sure some will get past those two.
Oops. Okay, Sachi, round two, please. Well then. Oh God, how much did we make?
I'm guessing a lot.
Hmm? Yeah, I'm guessing so too.
I'm guessing a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's peeing again. Explanation point dots and everything. Ah! Ah! Beyond my skill! A whole lot of dots! More dots!
I'm on it. My kids stare their empty soup bowls with hollow eyes.
Oh.
We haven't got any! Because of their intense battle upstream, none of the noodles have reached their lower position. Alright then, we'll just do this. I set up another gutter that I prepared as a spare at a position below material. Sanchi, let's get some in this one as well.
Certainly! Well, you like hillbillies? Oh God.
What?
What?
Just read that line, Nick, and I don't understand it. But
Oh, so this is the Japanese direct train boss. Oh, I know what that is. Like when you think the trains go in the same direction, no, they switch sometimes. That's what they do.
Thanks, Yuji-kun.
You're welcome.
no need to thank me. A long time ago, I had been into me not to waste the things I make.
Oh God, that's a lot. That.
I glanced to my side while Hisashi is silently floating Somen needles down the waterway. With this shit, you're not going to get any, Sachi. Alright, I'll secure your share. Scooping noodles directly from the original container, I deposit them in Sachi's bowl.
Thank you very much. Ah, that's cheating. I just such it. No.
If that's an option, I want Yuji-kun to feed me directly too. If it's Dad,
A pair of observant hunters are on me in seconds. Hold it. If everyone starts taking noodles directly, it's not flowing Somen.
if we did this in my room, I'd be up for letting Yuji-kun try some exclusive sexy Somen. Flowing down my body instead of a piece of bamboo.
Yes, please.
So much yes!
No.
Oh my god! This is something I would say! Sexy Somen. My spring kid.
Hey, what the heck are you burning out all of a sudden?
I think bribery through feminine will
Wiles.
Wow.
would be the most accurate description.
Can I do that too?
No.
I can do that.
I'll break. And what?
What? I'm lost.
So why?
Can I do that too? I'll break, and all that. What's break? Jeez, what's wrong with you two? They want the date.
Hey, comb mine, son. Your hands aren't moving. I don't.
No, I'm sorry. Uh-oh.
I want some sexy Somen, guys. I want some sexy Somen.
I
was
want your
curious
sexy
why he
Somen.
suddenly told me he'd be skipping class, but blowing Somen on the roof of all things.
Without me?
He thinks in interesting ways, as expected from a sudden transfer student character.
Oh, God.
Another day.
Can I have sexy Somen?
No!
I want some sexy Somen, really.
No!
Why not?
Amanda, you gonna give Zach some sexy Somen?
Screwing. Shut up! I'm so glad Zach doesn't watch these videos.
I'm gonna tell him to watch this one specifically.
Ah!
Moving on.
I've heard it takes about 3 days to get a cat to take to you. The girl named Irisu Makita got attached to me even faster than that. Yes, this is the same Makita who used to flee the instant she laid eyes on me.
I prefer the fleeing one.
I have no idea what changed her mind, but lately it's been quite the opposite, with her approaching me on sight.
It's hot again today.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, true.
Not that she's particularly talkative after a small greeting, she tends to just tag along in silence. You want something?
I want some sexy Somen.
Yeah, I was expecting that.
I'm naming this episode the Sexy Somen, by the way.
Alright, name it whatever you want to name it. Not really.
Honestly speaking, getting followed around for no reason like this is a little annoying. They said there's no reason for me to coldly shoo her away, either. You don't need to go to afternoon class.
Nope. I don't have to take any more elective meetings today.
I see.
Yep, Vegeta. I
Other
want
words, she's probably
Somen.
just bored. All by myself.
We have to
The
censor that
schedule- Why?
because no singing in videos.
No, we can sing as long as it's not over 10 seconds.
No, I'll just be like Zach. No, Rob.
The schedule at this school is divided between the core curriculum in the morning and optional course in the afternoon. It's not rare for a few of my classmates to be lacing around at the vending machines after lunch.
I'm picking my character's nose.
If you've got nothing to do, how about going back to the dorm and studying? It's what I'd like to say, but come to think of it, I'm almost wandering around wasting my free fifth period. Guess I don't exactly have the right to lecture Makina. Want something to drink? I dig my hand around in my pocket, searching for my small change and the chloroform.
I've got money because I'm Nappa. And I borrowed it.
Nappa's got them monies. Holding out her right palm toward me to declare it's fine. She takes out something that looks like a green stuffed animal from her pocket. A vaguely frog-shaped thing. Seems to be a purse as its red mouth opens wide with the snap of metal bearings. After taking a few coins, Makina buys a juice box from one of the vending machines lined up in the passage, then returns to my side.
Da, da, da. What?
Pulling the attached straw free with stubby, clumsy-looking fingers. Stubby, clumsy-looking fingers. Makina
Club foot.
What?
Oh my god, that's horrible.
What?
Oh, what my grandpa said to some guy who had a problem. Oh my god.
Oh god. I don't even know what you're laughing at, but okay. Makina pierces it into the juice box and starts to slurp up the contents.
Club foot.
How old is she?
Who
She's
knows?
like our age.
Really?
Well, she's supposed to be like the main character's age, like 16, I think, or
Oh,
maybe a little
she
less.
don't
I don't know
look
how
like
old she
it.
is.
She looks like she's a 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Dot dot dot. Similarly, I drink quietly from my paper cup full of oolong tea.
It's hot again. Ugh.
True.
Stop saying true.
Now we're repeating ourselves.
Sounds
Probably
about
unless
right.
we're both puzzled over how to get a conversation started.
So, sexy
15.
Somen, huh?
Okay.
Of course, I'm not confident I could pull that off if I tried. What do I talk about with a girl like Makina?
Hey, Oni-chan. You got any stories? Mine's with Vegeta, and I got blown up by him.
Stories, stories. It's a fairly standard request, but I'm not sure where to go with this. What sort of story?
What's that? So, a nice girl story.
A cool story, That's a bit tricky. When you're looking for a chilling tale, I think ghost stories are a standard choice. Fortunately, I'm not lacking in that department. A legacy of the time I spent at my old school. Alright then, this is something I heard from an upperclassman in my previous school.
It's raining.
It's
This is
raining.
a story of an American soldier who found himself on a southern island in the night flooded with lukewarm
You
rain.
might have to speak up a little. It's raining pretty hard.
Okay.
No, I'm being serious.
The soldier was making his way south through the darker jungle amid the pelting downpour, following a native trail with 8 companions.
2 made it.
Their objective was enemy anti-aircraft position.
The rain.
The rain had been falling for 2 days straight, leaving the ground swampy and as a paddy field. With the moon hidden by thick storm clouds, the soldiers couldn't even see the back of the comrade walking 2 or 3 meters ahead.
That's dark.
The squad's nerves were already worn by the suggestive darkness of the night jungle, but the relentless rain piercing through the tree canopy was slowly sapping their endurance as well.
Big dash!
And on top of it all,
On
the rough
top
map they
of all
received from the
smoke.
scouts was vague, to the point of uselessness, good for little but further fueling their anxiety.
All covered in grass. He has to be careful, because the pot people will find him.
As the squad trudged on a vertical crawl through the knee-deep mud, it was inevitable that their formation grew increasingly loose. So the American soldier, the sniper bringing up the rear of the column, was desperately struggling to avoid getting separated from the rest of his unit.
That's tapping.
Eventually he heard a distinctive clacking from some distance in front of him, rising above the sound of the rain. He recognized the sound as the castanets the platoon leader carried, as a means to communicate at night or in poor visibility conditions where hand signals were impractical. Number of times he clacked indicated in order to halt on the spot. The man dropped to one knee in the muddy water, grasped his rifle to his breast, and removed the lens cap from his scope, shielding it from the rain. An enemy ambush?
An enemy ambush!
Lying flat on the spot, the man pressed his strong eye against the gun's sight. The back of the soldier in front of him came into view. No shots had been fired as of yet. Earlier reconnaissance had indicated that there were barely any enemy troops or armed guerrillas in this area.
Gorillas!
If there were enemies here, the odds were that they would be scouts and most likely a fairly small group. As the man rested his chin on the muddy water to watch the jungle ahead, he heard the first sounds of gunfire. The enemy wasn't even 30 meters away from the squad. They practically bumped into each other.
Oh, they're shooting! Oh god, flashing lights! Disclaimer, flashing lights.
Six lines of fire from the enemy position, just as he thought, seemed to be a small scouting group. Judging from the reckless way they opened fire blindly, they were probably poorly trained guerrillas who panicked after encountering their enemy under these unusual conditions. Moving his gaze from the scope, the man grasped his weapon, pulled back on the bolt handle. Pushing a 7.62mm bullet into the exposed chamber, he returned his dominant eye to the eye cup of his sight. The muzzle flash was visible through the scope, burned white after images into his pupil, fully dilated after his long walk in the darkness. He couldn't see the enemy. Aiming on intuition alone, he squeezed the trigger.
Uh-oh. Someone died.
Momentary explosion of light from his gun, and he heard an enemy's grunt from the bush some 5 meters away. A hit. The man took his rifle in both hands and began to crawl on his elbows and knees in search of the new firing position. After moving about 10 meters to his left, he discovered a convenient foxhole that would serve his purpose nicely. When he swung his body down to the hole, he found it was half full of stagnant water, just as he'd expect, but that fact barely registered in his mind.
More shooting.
More importantly, from a position like this, he could snipe while hidden for a time. Sunk to the waist in muddy water, mechanically pulled back his rifle bolt and squeezed the trigger again and again and again.
And again!
All of a sudden, he heard a voice from the next foxhole, since one hadn't been occupied.
Hey, give me a grenade!
Hey, give me a grenade.
I got that.
In response, the man took an M67 grenade from the belt slung around his waist, held it out, safely pinned, still fixed in place. A white hand reached out from the nearby trench and received it.
Thank ya.
Thank you. The man was certain he heard those words. No matter how long the man waited, his comrade didn't throw the grenade. Maybe the safety pin was bent somehow and he couldn't get it loose.
Hey, you okay?
Nick, don't read my lines.
Sorry.
As the man was speaking those words, he started to move his head to look above the edge of his encampment. At that moment, the grenade exploded in the next foxhole. Gah!
Bop, bop.
Heard it already.
Really?
Explosion at point blank range isn't something you hear. The overpowering waves of sound aren't recognized by your ears or as noise. The massive burning air struck the man like a wall, knocking the helmet off his head and thrusting his body backward into the muddy pool. His mouth thrown open by the explosion was instantly filled with filthy water. As the man desperately tried to spit it out, he realized his tongue had been knocked back into his throat. He couldn't breathe. Quickly thrusting his hands into his mouth, the man peeled his tongue free with his fingers and powerfully vomited out the water together with the breath that had gathered in his lungs. I'm trying to read it. It's like...
There you go.
His throat was burning from inhaling the explosion's scorching wind. He couldn't stop the tears that were pouring down his face. His head felt like it was taking a direct hit from a fastball made of concrete. His ears were filled with high-pitched ringing. Hey, you alright? Get it together. Curled up in the muddy water with his head in his hands, the man heard the voice of a comrade. At least his eardrums hadn't shattered. He felt himself being dragged up out of the foxhole by both arms. We've got to move. Temporary withdrawal. Can you walk? It took all of the man's effort to nod his head. He couldn't see. His ears were barely functional and his throat was on fire. He couldn't even speak. The man began to run his hands across the ground in panic. His comrade knew what he was looking for. The man felt his rifle pressed back into his hands. Reassured by the familiar feel of his weapon, the man slung it onto his shoulder, his hands still clutching the ground. He fled that place at a crawl.
We're a 1/6 storyteller. Oh, my CPU's raging.
Had 30 minutes passed. When the man came to himself, the rain had ironically enough finally stopped. His vision had largely recovered when he looked around, saw his companions all just as filthy with mud. Hey Shorty, you still alive? The sniper was still scurrying along the ground when the voice called to him, belonged to a black man who joined the army at the same time as him. They'd been in the same squad in their training days as well, and the black man was his closest friend in the platoon. His greeting was casual as always. Give me a break. The man reshouldered his beloved rifle and told his friend about the hand grenade accident. That voice from the next foxhole, the grenade he handed over in response moments later to that explosion. The man angrily spat out the details of his brush with death. During other stupidity, the black man listened in silence. When the story was over, after a brief pause, he finally spoke. Huh? The hell are you talking about, Shorty? The black man said his story was impossible. When I think of it, of course it was. The man was the unit's birdman, the rear guard, the end of the line. Usually the birdman marched 10 to 20 meters behind the squad. There was no way the ally would have been encamped only 2 or 3 meters from his position. Even considering his movements to change his firing position, he couldn't have met anyone until the unit broke into retreat. I mean, let's say you're right and some jackass dropped a grenade in his own foxhole, okay? Who was that? When the man looked around his surroundings, all 8 of the squad's other members were accounted for. Few were lightly wounded, but clearly none of them had been on the receiving end of that grenade blast recently. So who the hell did you give that grenade to? In response to his friend's words, a shiver ran down the man's spine. After rejoining the main force and completing his report, the man told his story to a grizzled veteran.
Is it lagging for you? Stupid team.
I can't even see the next.
Okay, I gotcha. The sergeant, major, an explanation of sorts for him. Okay, what are we doing?
Sergeant Major had an explanation sorts for him. That place is right around the site of an old battle where many Americans died. Among them were many wounded who had been slowly butchered like gorillas with spears and bayonets.
Waka waka. And some had reached That's their grenades. My waist was pulled out the pin rather than being tortured to death.
So in the end, who had taken the man's grenade?
Perhaps a lingering spirit still clinging to the battlefield even in death.
I don't know why it's lagging so bad.
CPU is raging. Anyway, it's about 30, and I think it's about time to wrap it up and reboot TeamViewer
Yeah.
or whatever.
So, okay, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's 6 story time. Anyways, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment down below. If you like the video and you want to see more of the series or previous series or upcoming series, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me. Go subscribe to Nick's channel too. It'll help him out as well. He's currently doing a whole bunch of random shit, so
Whatever I feel like doing.
yep. Anyways, guys, this is Shigeo Takeru signing off.